By the power vested in me in the Republic, I hereby authorize you to execute Order 114. You may commence with delivery. Another job well done, Donovan.
Sci-fi is very powerful because it asks the question, what if?
The nature of using different types of storytelling to arrive at a very similar point. Talking about government spying and talking about the invasions of privacy, we're sort of seeing with the NSA, and to arrive at it from a really dramatic point of view in Panopticon versus a really comedic point of view in iSpy.
Hollywood has a long history of making movies about government surveillance with science fiction genre.
Patrick Reasonover, I run an organization called Taliesin Nexus. If you are a conservative, free market conservative or libertarian, and you want to work in the entertainment business, we have a bunch of talent development programs to help you do that. So we have like screenwriting and filmmaking workshops, an internship program, and we have a film lab. And so Jarod and also Dugan and Dan, who made iSpy, made their films through our program. Apply, you get a budget, $10,000, but you also get a Hollywood mentor. Jarod worked with Bill Marsili, who did a film called Deja Vu. He has a new film coming out, or that's in progress with Reese Witherspoon, Cold. So it's a great opportunity for young filmmakers to work with, really exceptional and, expert folks in the business who share the liberty sympathies. A film operates different from an argument. You don't necessarily proceed from premises to, through, logically connected thesis to a conclusion. What you do is the truth principle operates more on the mirror. When I look at something, do I identify with those characters? Do I see myself or my family members or friends or other folks in the characters? And then I experience the film and the truth of the film from that sensibility. And so when it comes to handling the themes of surveillance, what we really want to do is show these characters put in this position and then have the audience identify with them. And in that way can give you a sense of the dangers of a surveillance state. And albeit a comedy or a drama, you're just put in a different context.
How do you think a comedy in particular affects an audience's ability to identify? Actually, I think, for example, science fiction is often really good at creating allegories because you can do things in a little bit more hyper real way, or you can push the boundaries of extremes in science fiction in a way that you couldn't in a comedy, which is more down-to-earth, real life. How do you feel like a comedy in particular makes it easier for audiences, for example, to identify with characters?
One of the great things about comedy is it comes from a place of truth. He's sort of playing the character of the fool or the jester, and then the jester, like in Shakespeare, always tells the truths that other people won't recognize because he can do it through the guise of a joke. That's why comedy is so powerful, because it's a way of giving you a totally different perspective on reality. Comedy is a very effective tool at kind of changing people's minds. Sci-fi is very powerful because it asks the question, what if? And so then you sort of forget about all of the nuances of what's going on currently, and you just sort of focus on a future and it really narrows the focus on, well, what if this one thing were changed about reality, and then we could see how that would play out. So they both are really effective at giving you, at allowing the filmmaker to give the audience a new perspective. They might question what they think, and then also kind of trust the filmmaker to have integrity in their vision and to go along the journey with them.
How can we go home and show a friend, hey, you saw a great movie, how can we see this again?
Great question, Patrick. You can actually probably speak to a number of films here.
Liberty Lab for Film. We have run it. We're in the midst of our third year. So there's actually been 11 films made. There'll be campaigns behind them to push them out online. So we don't immediately kind of put them online. Jarod just finished his film with all those awesome special effects that he did.
I have a little background in special effects myself, so I guess for this movie, it would be just something that I do a lot of R&D myself.
Panopticon, bane or boon?
An unquestionable good. We will be in a state of permanent hostilities against terrorism for the indefinite future.
Donovan, what are you doing?
Ma'am, just following a couple of leads. This man
These are not your cases.
I know, ma'am, but I promise you, this...
Non-directed use of surveillance equipment is a Class 5 breach.
So he wants to go have a festival run so that, people in the industry can see his work. Because part of our mission at Taliesin Nexus is we want to get the films out there and have everybody be able to see them and share them with their friends, but we also want to have opportunities for Jarod to move up in the mainstream business and become a director and producer on mainstream films. The ability to put Panopticon out at film festivals, even though it kind of delays everybody getting to look at it, it really is a great tool for Jarod to be able to be more successful at working in the mainstream. If you go to our organization, you do have the ability to make a donation of $100, and we have a DVD set with 3 of the films so that you can see and share with others.
Non-leftist filmmakers, do you feel isolated, and is it harder for you guys in the industry than it might otherwise be, do you think? What's your role there?
So that's a really interesting question. There's a kind of a narrative that Hollywood is very left and they blacklist the conservatives. And there may be some truth to that. When you look at a lot of the programs like at Disney and Universal and a lot of the other nonprofits out there that are on the left, for decades they have had programs to help young filmmakers work in the business. On the right, we have not had that. We have not invested in that. And so as a consequence, they have a lot of filmmakers who are working in the business, have gone through these programs. They go through like a Universal program or Disney diversity program, and then they're staffed on shows. And then once they get these opportunities, then their careers are launched. And so what we're trying to do is catch up, and create a launch pad so we can have more people working in the business. We have a great faculty. We have folks who are mentoring, who come to our workshops, like Daisy Gardner, who is a producer-writer on Modern Family, most popular comedy on network television. Craig Titley, who wrote Percy Jackson the Olympians. He's on Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's plenty of people in our network who are, libertarian, conservative, right-leaning, who are working and are very successful. What we really need to do is focus on helping young filmmakers so we have more filmmakers who are talented working in Hollywood. It's really about being a great storyteller who's telling really fascinating story. To me, I don't think that someone on the left would look at these 2 films and say, oh, that was crap. They would look at them and say, wow, that's really interesting. It's not just like slapping you in the face with ideology. There's an experience there. There's a journey. And I think that's really what people are drawn to. And that's what filmmakers who share our ideas should be focused on.
I felt both of those things. I felt that it was difficult to talk about some of the things. I was wildly outnumbered most of the time. On the other hand, what most people respond to is craft. I mean, and if you do good work, it'll get recognized no matter what the ideology. I think that's all the time we have for this panel, so I want to thank Patrick Reasonover and Jarod Su for being out here, and give a round of applause.